Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Mailbag. This is the AMC Mailbag show, a little bit different from AMC Movie Talk. Now, on AMC Movie Talk, which is our daily movie news show, of course, we take mailbag questions from you guys every day. You can email us your topics or your questions at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. But since we only get a chance to get to 2 or 3 questions a day, we thought we would start this new show that we would do on Saturdays and Sundays called AMC Mailbag, where all we do is take your mailbag questions. You can tell it's a lot more informal. I'm just sitting here at my desk. We don't really pay attention to the time too much. So I'm going to introduce you, first of all, to the guys joining me here today. First of all, he is the director of the upcoming film, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, Mr. John Schnepp. John, how you doing?
Hey, what's up? Good to be here.
Also joining us, he is the production manager of AMC Movie News, the one and the only Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis?
How's it going, guys?
All right, well, let's get started with this. The first question today comes from us, from a dude called Paul Cook, and Paul Cook writes, "Hi, guys. Love the show. I need a job like yours. I've seen Man of Steel 4 times now, and still more to go, I think. Even drove 60 miles to see it at an RPX version. Anyways, in Man of Steel, in the ship, you see one open stasis pod open. Could this be Zack Snyder's lead for Superman 2 with Kara?" For those of you who don't know what Paul's talking about, in Man of Steel, there's a prequel comic that actually came out about 1 or 2 weeks before Man of Steel did. And in the prequel comic, it's free and it's online, so you can just go look up Man of Steel prequel comic. It's online for free. In it, we see 20,000 years ago, the ancestors on Krypton used to send space explorers out. You remember Jor-El told Superman this. They used to send space explorers out. And Kal-El's distant ancient cousin, I guess, Kara Zor-El, was a captain of one of these ships that went out. And her ship crash-landed. There was a mutiny on board, but her ship crash-landed. And the last thing you see is her walking off away from the ship. And then, of course, that was 20,000 years ago. And, of course, in Man of Steel, when Kal-El finds the ship, he sees, a body in one of the pods, but he also sees an open, empty pod. We can only assume that's Kara Zor-El's pod. So, Schnepp, you've read the prequel comic. You've seen the movie. Do you think there is a chance that Zack Snyder actually intends to use Supergirl, Clark's cousin Kara? Do you think there's a chance he plans on using her?
To be honest with you, I didn't even realize it was online. I thought they had printed the comic. And so I went to some comic stores. I was like, have you guys heard of this prequel comic, Man of Steel? It's got Supergirl. It's drawn by Jerry Ordway. And they were like, nope. And yesterday, nobody had heard about it. And yesterday, one of the comic shops I go to, House of Secrets, they typed it into Google and they were like, well, it's only available it's online, but you can't get it. So I just typed it in right when you were talking about it, and now it popped up. So I haven't actually read it yet. So I'm excited to read it. But, yeah, I think it's a perfect intro to Kara, and you can have a Supergirl. You don't know what happened to her. I don't know if they tell you. I hope she doesn't die in the comic. Does she?
Well, no, all we see in the comic is the last thing we see in the past is a shot from outside of the shuttle or of the ship, and you just see this little figure walking off in the snow. And that's it. And then it fast forwards to modern day. And, finding out that, they found this ship, that was buried in ice 20,000 years ago, blah, blah, blah. So, we have no idea what happened to her. Dennis, do you got any theories? Do you think they could use her, or was that just a nice little thing to use in a prequel comic?
No, I think they're hinting at using her. I think David Goyer actually wrote that comic book as well. And so if he's going to be on for Man of Steel 2 and 3, then I think Supergirl will definitely be in one of the upcoming movies. They'll probably just, maybe if they don't totally introduce her, maybe they'll hint at her in the next one. My thing I'm intrigued is, what has she been doing for 20,000 years, Has she been living amongst the, on Earth, and
right,
like having like regular jobs and doing all that stuff? Or did she go somewhere else and come back? So I'm intrigued.
Is she frozen in the ice like Captain America? Is she cryogenically like a mammoth? You know what I mean? That's kind of what I was thinking. Like,
this brings up a problem, though, right? Because Kryptonians age. They're not immune to aging, right?
Right.
So if you plan on using Kara, then Kara's got to be, I guess the only thing is some way she's got to be frozen. Okay. But on Earth, Kryptonians are immune to freezing and breathing and cold. I mean, Superman can fly in space, and he doesn't get frozen. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't know how they expect. Personally, I don't want to see Supergirl. I have no intention, no desire whatsoever to see Supergirl in any of these movies. To me, it harkens unto the cheesy aspects of Superman. Like, if you're gonna have Supergirl, might as well bring in Krypto the Wonder Dog. I mean, I just don't see it. I have no desire for it. I think it was a cute little thing to put in a prequel comic like they did.
Right.
I think it's also then a nice little wink to the audience when Kal-El turns his head and he sees an open stasis chamber. Although I will admit, the open stasis chamber in the ship is a lot of trouble to go through just as a wink to a prequel comic. So I don't know. Look, at some point, I think they still have to address the whole issue of the Kryptonian DNA still being embedded in Superman's cells. I still think I don't think they're done with that storyline.
No,
I think that means something. And maybe that has something to do with Kara later on. I mean, I don't know. Like, do either of you guys want to see, like, forget could she be there? Do either guys even want to see Supergirl in any of these films?
I do. I think it would be pretty cool. I mean, she also could have taken off and, like, hooked up with the Green Lantern Corps and, like, or got thrown into her own Phantom Zone. I don't know. I mean, it opens up more a bigger can of worms. You're right. Like, did she just get that? I didn't even think about that. Like, you know, how could you freeze her on Earth? She'd just be like walking through ice. You know, it's like it's no effect. So,
all right. Well, let's get on to the next question here then. The next question comes to us from Ezekiel J. And Ezekiel J writes, "Hello, John and friends. I was wondering what you guys thought about, instead of a TV show ending with a series finale episode, why not end it with a series finale movie? Dennis, what do you think about something like that? Like, what if, you know, I don't know, The Wire or The Shield, let's say The Shield was coming to its ending, and then instead of showing a last episode, they finish off the series by showing a 2-hour movie you go to the theater to see. What, could something like that work?"
No, I don't think so. I think logistically and marketing wise, it just doesn't work. I mean, they'd have to time it so, like, they're making the movie and, like, getting it ready, and then it'd have to be released, like, I don't know, a week after the TV series, second to last episode airs. And quite frankly, I just don't see the need for it. I like it more of kind of like with Sex and the City or Entourage, how they're going to do, okay, they completed the story, but as a bonus, they're making an extra movie that has a new storyline in it. Something like that, I think, works a lot better than actually trying to time a series finale as a movie.
The biggest challenge, I think the big obvious problem with all that is this. If you, like I've said before on the show, if you take something like a Game of Thrones and then have a series finale, and then maybe a year or two later have a self-contained 2-hour movie, I think that works. I think you could do a Game of Thrones prequel movie now. I think you could do that. But here's the problem with, okay, the series finale is a movie. Here's the biggest problem. You've automatically guaranteed that the only people who even can go to see this movie are people who have regularly been watching that TV show. Now, let's face it, there's only about 3 or 4 TV shows on right now that have even close to enough of a viewership that could sustain and justify a movie. So, like, what's a big show that's ending here or just ended? There was some show just had a big series finale. What was it? And I none of us can remember now. Okay, that just goes to show you how popular these things are. Let's say for whatever reason that Supernatural was ending, okay? But they've got another season. Let's say they built it up to a cliffhanger and said to be completed in this summer's motion picture Supernatural. Okay, well now only people who watch Supernatural, you don't even open up the option for other people to go watch it. Only those people can see it. And there's just not the numbers don't add up. You can't do it. It's absolutely impossible. At least that's how I see it. Schnepp, am I missing something?
I would be incredibly pissed off if I was watching a television series and then they were like, and the special series finale will be at a movie theater where you'll have to go pay $25 with your friends. And I would probably not watch the TV show and be like, yo, I'll just wait till all of it's over and then I'll watch all of it on DVD or on Netflix for free for my $8.95 a month. I would feel like I'm being betrayed, getting set up like, Here's the way I think it would work. If you started out as a movie, then you did a series, like how they talked about doing Dark Tower and how they should be doing Star Trek, the new Star Trek. They should have a 10-episode series and then do Star Trek 3. And also, since you're not going to have J.J. Abrams, get a bunch of other directors and writers in there and like get people used to this different, hey, it's an ongoing show, That's the only way I see it working is you establish it with a movie and it's all built in. Like Dark Tower was 3 movies and 2 seasons in between the 3 movies. And also it was a pay-per-view, like it was on HBO anyway. It wasn't like, I don't think they were like doing it on NBC where it'd be free. So
right. See, I'm still not sure that I'm even on board for the idea of starting something with the movie, because then you're kind of in the same, potentially you're in the same conundrum that you'd be in with, but in reverse. Okay, great. We've planned this TV series based on this movie. Oops, nobody went to go see the movie. Now what?
Right.
Now you've already put all this money and all this kind of stuff into a 10-episode TV series.
Yeah.
It's a, man, crossing the mediums, if you will, is such a tricky thing to do.
Don't cross the streams.
Don't cross the streams. All right, let's move on to the third question here. Third question comes for us from Sean G. And Sean G writes, so I recently watched the new Lego movie trailer. Is it just me, or does it look really fun? My question is, with Lego moving up in the world of entertainment from video games, TV shows, and now the movie, do you see them possibly in the near future making several movies and maybe becoming a real player in the movie industry? Dennis, what do you think? Is Lego poised to become a big force?
I think it could be potentially a pretty big franchise. I don't know what he means by big player. You know what I mean? Is Lego just going to start taking over everything and like every single franchise is going to have a Lego version of it? I don't think so. But I think it's something that if it's successful, they'll be able to do a lot of spin-offs. I see probably a lot of direct-to-DVD movies, that they'll be able to do from this if it's successful. But I don't see it being something huge where it would change a lot of different things in the movie industry.
What do you think, Schnapp?
No, I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, I think it's going to, if it's successful, you'll have another Lego movie, and you might have the kind of expansion modules that a lot of people like Lord of the Rings done Lego style. You might have, those kinds of things blown up at a 4K res to see in the movie theater instead of watching it as the intro bits to your video game. I don't know. I don't see it as really revolutionizing anything other than like seeing a cool Lego movie. So
look, I'll tell you this though, guys. When I first saw, what was that one that came out? Is it the Indiana Jones Lego game? Was that one of the first ones?
Yeah.
I just, whichever one it was, I remember when that game was coming out, that Lego game based on the movie thing. I remember thinking, well, that's lame. I mean, no, why? Look, it's just an Indiana Jones game, but just the figures are Lego. Ooh, big deal. Well, guess what? That was hugely successful. It spawned a lot of other ones. I've got the Harry Potter Lego and the Batman Lego game over in my living room connected to my 60-inch TV right now. Now, my wife plays all the time.
Yeah.
And when I first saw the first trailer for the Lego movie, I'm like, lame. I even think on AMC Movie Talk, I think I said, oh, this is a bad idea. I sell. Who's going to want to watch this, blah, blah, blah. That first trailer came out. I'm telling you, that first trailer changed the game for me. I loved that trailer. I thought it was charming and funny, and all of a sudden, them being Legos kind of just evaporated in the background, and it just became a really cute, funny-looking thing. I have officially retired from the doubting Lego franchise business. I have retired from that business. I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you what. I think, who is our question guy again? Sean. I think Sean is onto something here. If this film makes $100 million domestically, and I'm not going to say it won't, but let's say it does, I can see 3 more Lego movies in the next 5 years.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm flabbergasted by this. Dennis, you've been in the office with me watching this Lego saga unfold. Like, what's your thought on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be successful, and they can make a nice run of movies and some expansion, direct-to-DVD stuff. But what I'm saying is I don't think eventually, like, let's say they do 2 or 3 of these, I think the novelty of it is going to wear out for a little while, and they're going to have to back off of it and then maybe come back to it later. I just don't see it as That's what said was a player,
Right.
in
It's
the
not going to
movie.
be a game changer.
Yeah.
It's definitely like I see. Hey, they'll release a couple of Christmas movies straight to DVD kind of style. If this one and then the second one are big hits, because it's a lot easier to make a Lego movie than a real movie. So you can make these kind of fun variation knockoffs in a certain sense, but use the brand. So I mean, I'm waiting for the Weebles movie myself.
I got to tell you guys, though, I'm going to have to stick my neck out here. I'm going to disagree with you. I think this franchise could become a game changer. And, we talk about because what Dennis, essentially what you're saying is exactly what I was saying 1 week ago. I mean, the novelty of this is going to wear off really fast. It's going to be maybe some DVD movies. I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe that anymore, that I believe that the novelty of superhero films are about to wear out. I believe Lego movies are about to become a genre unto themselves.
Oh,
and
my God. Well, I certainly hope not.
5 years, we're going to get a horror Lego movie. We're going to get some sci-fi Lego movies. I'm telling you, I think Lego, I'm going to go out on a limb, is going to become a major player. I really do.
And Campy says it's going to be an Oscar-nominated movie, and it's going to win the Oscar for
sweep
Best
the
Picture.
Oscars. And
Lincoln Logs, the movie. Lincoln Logs.
Lincoln Logs. I think this thing could be huge. All of that, just because
Right.
I saw a trailer, I thought was cute. All right, let's move on to the next question here. The next question comes to us from William Newberry, and William writes, "Hey guys, really enjoy the show. Now, when I'm looking for movie news, the first thing I do is watch your videos." Well, thanks, William. My question is about Hal Jordan. DC recently revealed that Green Lantern is added to the list of gay superheroes. If Green Lantern is rebooted, do you and I assume he means by the movies. If Green Lantern is rebooted in the movies, do you think they will follow the new Hal or keep the old one? Personally, I don't think big movie studios are ready to take the leap and have controversy over its first gay superhero. Hopefully I am wrong, and we are entering a new open-minded era. What do you think? Will William, great question. Thank you for the question. But need to correct a couple things here. And, Dennis or Schnepp, correct me if I'm wrong here. Hal Jordan is not gay in the comic book. Right. The original, what's the name of the Golden Age Green Lantern again?
Alan Scott.
Alan Scott. Thank you, Dennis. So Alan Scott, who is the original Green Lantern, the Golden Age Green Lantern, they keep bringing him back now and again, blah, blah, blah. But DC has got this new thing called the 52, which they've kind of rebooted everything. Everything's fresh start in the 52. And in the 52, Hal Jordan is the Green Lantern again. Now, they still have stuff. DC still has comic books outside of the new 52 that are still going. That's like Earth 2 and stuff like that. And in those comics, that's like an alternate universe, Earth 2, Alan Scott is the Green Lantern again. And that Green Lantern is the gay Green Lantern. They've made him a gay character, which is kind of ironic because I think DC's first gay character was, what's his name? Opedia or something like that, who was Alan Scott's son, oddly enough. So no, Hal Jordan is not gay in DC Universe because he's in the 52 universe of DC, the Earth 1 universe of DC, but the Green Lantern in Earth 2, which is Alan Scott, the Golden Age one, that character is gay. That, getting out of the way.
It's a lot to get out of the way.
Yeah. It's still a really good question about, okay, let's just then go with the question of, do we think that studios are ready yet to take that step and have one of their characters be a gay character? I think it's fair to say, I'm going to throw out a few ideas here, then I want to hear what you guys have to think about this. I think it's fair to say that none of the studios are ready yet to say, have a standalone superhero film where just the main character is gay. I don't think they're ready to do that yet. But I wouldn't be shocked out of my mind if like either a Justice League or a Justice League-like film or an Avengers 2 or 3 might be willing to step out and have one of the players in the film be a gay character. I mean, it would be a nice crack in the door to get things opened. Maybe. I don't know if they're there yet. I mean, I'd like to think they're there. But anyway, Schnepp, what do you think? Do you think Hollywood's at that point yet?
Well, with Avengers 2, you could have a gay Quicksilver. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, They have a characters North Star,
North
like
Star.
in Alpha Flight. I mean, there's a lot of characters who are gay in comic books, and I thought it was kind of weak, to be honest with you, with DC being like, yes, we've got a gay Green Lantern, but it's on Earth 2. It's not really, he's not really gay. It's on this other world kind of universe. But they made a big deal. It's sort of like the death of Superman kind of thing, and then he comes back in a year. This was like, we've got a gay character, and it's Green Lantern, but it's on Earth 2, so don't get too wigged out for the people who are going to get wigged out. So I don't see any problem with any of these superheroes, being gay in a movie, whatever. I just think it's like either commit to it or not. The Earth 2 Green Lantern gay business, sort of like, and if you like Green Lantern, you're not a big fan of like what's his name again? Alan Scott with the red cape. He's like the dude who used to hold the lantern like, hi, Because I never liked that guy when I was a kid. I was like, I'm not even a big Green Lantern fan, and I didn't like that one. I liked that guy less. So it's like, put him on Earth 2. Now he's gay. Who cares? Really.
Dennis, how do you see
except
it?
for like the super, like, I have all the comics, like some super bunged up Wikipedia checking dude, like, I can't believe they made Alan Scott gay. That's the only people who are going to get upset about it. Other people will be like, whatever, man, he's gay. Awesome. Who's he fighting? Is Sinestro gay? Well, it doesn't really, I don't know if it matters. So,
Dennis?
that's how I feel about it.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but I don't think, given the amount of money that is put into these, superhero and comic book movies, I don't think Hollywood would be willing to risk a lead character being gay. Like you said, maybe one of the other like team-oriented ones, like Avengers, Justice League, or X-Men or something like that, having like a side character being gay. I think they might be able to do that, but having the lead character, like a Superman, a Spider-Man,
Yeah, to be quite honest, I actually believe wholeheartedly there's probably a couple of studios that probably want to go in that direction, that would really like to introduce the first on-screen homosexual superhero character. I think they are a little bit nervous about what the financial repercussions would be. Do they think, what is it? William asked the questions. Do we think the studio is ready to do that? I think maybe the bigger question really is the average movie-going audience ready to see that and accept it? We'd all like to think and hope that we are. But, I think there are legitimate reasons why a studio might be afraid of that a little bit right now. But I think it's inevitable that that's the way we're going. At some point, one of these studios is going to take the leap and introduce us to our first on-screen gay superhero character, and then it'll become a dead issue. I think at that point...
I agree. I think it's like gay people are just as human as anyone else. And, if they make a gay-centric film, it's not like they're going to concentrate on all the gay aspects. It's like, hey, the guy's gay or the lady's a lesbian. That's just, Batwoman is a lesbian now in comic books. And it's not a big deal. It's just that's her preference.
Well, they're not as human as anybody else. If they're superhuman, huh? Okay, that sucked.
So they're super gay, right?
All right, let's move on to the next question. The next question comes to us from Benny Blanco, who writes, so The Last Starfighter is the best 80s cult classic in my personal opinion. I love that film, dude.
Yeah.
As a kid, this movie gave me passion for films, sci-fi, and video games. And I'm sure a lot of people share the same feeling as I do towards this movie. I remember in late 2011, early 2012, there was chatter around a possible sequel or remake. But there's been no news since it was scrapped. There's been no news since. Was it scrapped? Was the rumors even true? The way it mixes sci-fi and video games, I believe it can work today. So, can a Last Starfighter sequel or remake be successful with today's moviegoers? Your thoughts? Dude, I love The Last Starfighter. It's one of those... Effects aside, it's a movie that holds up. I really dig it. It's so much fun and whatever. And you can add, there's two ways to do this. One, you can do a reboot. This is a movie that could easily be rebooted in today's thing. Maybe it's not happening in an arcade, but now the Star League is monitoring Xbox One games or monitoring because apparently everything on Xbox One monitors you. Anyway, so
that's right.
So maybe they monitor that or whatever. It's totally viable. You can go that route. Now, another way you could do it is kind of do the Tron thing. No, this is a sequel. This is a straight up sequel now set however many years down the road, 20 years later. And you could straight up sequel it, much like Tron came back and sequeled it so many decades later. I think there's a lot of ways you could do this. Dennis, would you want to see a Last Starfighter movie? And if so, and if you were a studio head, how would you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I like Last Starfighter. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I think they could remake it, especially, given today's technology. I don't know how much the name itself resonates, Like, I think Tron was a much bigger name, back
True.
in the 80s.
Right.
And so, that, did okay. I mean, given the budget. So something like a Last Starfighter, they really would have to modernize it and then maybe tie it into some, pre-existing entities already. That way they can secure maybe some of the funding for it.
Schnepp, what do you think?
I think it's a fantastic idea. You know what? A couple of years ago, I did a comic book convention with Lance Guest. He was like one of the guys, like one of the comic book guests, and I got to talk to him a little bit about Last Starfighter. He's like in Chicago doing dinner theater, still acting. Hey, man, it would be a cool sequel like Tron, but I think going that step further and like just doing a complete reboot is a pretty good idea.
All right, let's move on to the last question of the day. Paul Diego writes, just curious, how you guys feel about the numbered movie titles for sequels? I personally think it's a lazy and lacking creativity as far as movie titles go. I love how Nolan's Batman trilogy was not a numbered trilogy. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises. Do you think we'll see a day when movie titles become more creative instead of just adding a number to the end of it? Always a pleasure, you guys. You guys rock. God bless. Well, my opinion on this, Paul, I've actually gone off on this in the past, but on the complete opposite side. I hate not titling movies 2, 3, 4, and 5. I want numbered titles to the sequels. I don't mind having movie title, number, hyphen, semi-title. So I don't mind like, Jaws of Life 3, Snapping Open the Door. Jaws of Life 4, Breath of Air. Like, I don't mind that kind of stuff. But here's part of the problem I see moving forward. Look, naming a movie takes no creativity whatsoever. You think it took any creativity for them to call the second Batman movie, we'll call it The Dark Knight? Yeah, that's been done for 20 years. No creativity in that at all. So no, and part of my thing is now when we look back 15 or 20 years later, we're gonna have problems remembering the order in which things came in. It's like, okay, James Bond. Look, I understand James Bond's a bit of a different thing because it spans generations, but just as an example, I don't remember where in order did Octopussy fall. Where does it fall in relation to Moonraker? Where does it fall in relation to Goldfinger? Where is this again? I really like calling it Fast and the Furious. Why? Look, Fast and Furious does a little bit of a hybrid of both, right? I mean, Fast and the Furious calls it, there was Fast and Furious 2, then I think like Fast 5 and Fast and Furious instead of The Fast and Furious. So they play with the titles a bit. I don't mind, playing with the titles and giving some unique wording to the titles, but I really do appreciate having the numerical representation in there as well. That just for me personally, that whole thing, just for posterity's sake and for looking back and understanding the order of things, I really do like having numerical movies. Like even Star Wars, Star Wars Episode 4, Star Wars Episode 5, Star Wars Episode 6. We know them by their other names, but it's just nice having those in there. That's my thought anyway. Dennis, where is your position on this big important issue of numbers in the titles of sequels?
I don't necessarily need the numbers, but I do like to have the actual title in terms of like the Harry Potter franchise, for example. It's Harry Potter and the so-and-so. Harry Potter and the da-da-da-da. That way you know, okay, this is the same series. And if you notice, some of the Marvel movies now, like the Thor 2 is technically called Thor, the Dark World. Captain America is Captain America, the Winter Soldier. So I think stuff like that works. With the Batman trilogy, Chris Nolan has doing, Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises, that throws it a bit off. I mean, he was able to get away with it because, one, he's Chris Nolan, and two, it's Batman, so everyone knows what it is. So, yeah, I don't mind not numbering it, but I do like to have whatever the title is in there,
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think the Harry Potter's a great example of that. I couldn't tell you what order things are in the Harry Potter. I don't know where Prisoner of Azkaban and the Fresh Prince of Bell Blood or whatever it's called. I don't know what order those things come in. I'll never know for the rest of my life. If they just had Harry Potter 1, 2, 3, and 4, maybe then something. Schnupp, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it works, but it doesn't work. Like now, like if some kid was just watching the Indiana Jones movie, how would he know that Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom comes before Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull Kingdom of whatever it was called? So, I mean, that's a little confusing, to be honest with you. Even though the movie was horrible, the first modern day movie that did that was Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
Right.
It was the first subtitled comic book movie, whatever. It's it was the first movie that actually had a sequel number and some kind of a weird subtitle. I mean, Star Trek Into Darkness, it could have been called Star Trek 2 Into Darkness, Thor 2: The Dark World, Captain America 2: The Winter Soldier. It would just be, honestly, it's not for us. It's for people 10 years from now. So I like that The Amazing Spider-Man is called The Amazing Spider-Man 2 because we're going to get 6 of them. So, I mean, I think that's pretty awesome. So I'm all for numbering them and then add a subtitle. So.
Well, all right, folks, that will do it for us. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us for this installment of AMC Mailbag. Don't forget, you can keep sending in your questions to amcmovietalk@gmail.com, and we'll get to as many of your questions as we can, either here on AMC Mailbag or during the week on AMC Movie Talk. I want to thank, of course, our very special guest today. First of all, the one and the only Mr. John Schnepp. John, where can people find you online?
Cottage Cheese 2, still curdling. You can find me at John Schnepp on Twitter. So.
And the production manager at AMC Movie News, of course, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero.
And you can find me on Twitter at John Campia or on Facebook at John Campia. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow, folks. Thanks a lot for joining us. Until next time, my name's John Campia for AMC Movie News. And until then,